Walking down the street one day, I announced to the universe, I am so tired of having boyfriend problems. I am ready to have husband problems. Right on cue, the universe acknowledged my request. I met a man who embodied each and every item on my wish list. Tall, good-looking, athletic, ready to get married, willing to marry me. But the problem with giving the universe a wish list, I'd soon discover, isn't what you ask for, it's what you forget to mention. We met at a mutual friend's boat launch party. I didn't care for him at first. He was cocky, the slightest bit too anxious to show off his status as an eligible bachelor. As he drove away that evening, something in me said, that guy is bad news. Watch out for him. A few weeks later, he called and asked me out. I was horrified by his audacity. I had dated one of his friends, albeit briefly. Weren't there rules against such things? Just meet me for a cup of coffee, he said, no obligation. Fine, I agreed, not wanting to offend him. We made plans to meet at a coffee shop that Sunday afternoon. He is better looking than I remember, I thought, seeing him walk toward me. We sat down, started talking, and the warning words I had issued myself faded slowly into the background. He told me about the 2 daughters he was raising, the business he had built, and how much he relied on God to hold it all together. He was 11 years older than me, but as the minutes ticked by, this revelation shape-shifted into a green flag, out of a red flag to a green light. What might it be like to be with a man who is truly grown up? A man who wants to be married again because he understands how much better life is when you approach it as a team. When he asked me if I wanted to go on a real date with him, I relented. What if this unlikely man might indeed be my Prince Charming? I vowed not to blow it this time, not to judge him unfairly or be overly critical. He gave me a gold bracelet on our first official date, slipping the long velvet box into my hands as I slid into the front seat. You have beautiful hands, he said. Have you ever thought of getting a manicure? That's offensive, I thought. Before pushing the negativity aside, I want to take care of you. Let me buy you a spa package. You deserve it. He wants to take care of me. Yes, I'd love to get my nails done. What's up with that color? He demanded when I walked out of the salon. Did you choose that or did they force it on you? I thought it was kind of pretty, you know, elegant. You're better than that. Next time, I'll go in with you. I just know that he wants to take care of me, I told myself glumly. Don't make such a big deal out of it. For our next date, he brought me flowers, a toy for my dog, and a necklace. We spent the evening dining by the river and watching the stars from the docks. It was perfect. Almost. Every once in a while, something awkward popped up. His ongoing litigation with his ex-wives, there was not one, I learned, but 2. Critical comment about something I wore. Hints that he wasn't particularly skilled at controlling his anger. Our dates rolled by like a fairy tale, albeit one in need of a little editing. 6 months later, he took me to New York City to buy an engagement ring. Oh, he picked out this breathtaking solitaire diamond, set between 2 smaller pear-shaped stones. My mind swam, barely able to grasp the concept that I would get to wear this ring for the rest of my life. I felt like Cinderella. It looks so beautiful on you, baby, he enthused. He paused and then went on, you know what? It would probably be best if we use your credit card to pay for this so we can keep my debts low for when we buy our new house. That sounds smart, I responded, never taking my eyes off of my sparkling left hand as I opened my wallet and handed him the card. We eloped on a Wednesday afternoon in the mauve and teal living room of a justice of the peace, after which I went home and he went back to work. Overnight, I morphed from single girl in the city to suburban housewife, complete with 2 stepdaughters, a new 4-bedroom house, and 2 luxury cars in the driveway. As I dug into my dream life, it was hard to ignore that my tall, good-looking husband had an emerging anger management problem. What had appeared to be a slight tendency to overreact during our months of dating now expanded into regular full-blown episodes. He found fault with unexpected things. I put the soda away on the wrong side of the refrigerator. I was out too long walking the dog. Why don't you dye your hair darker? He asked me sharply one day at lunch. You'd look better with dark hair. He took me on a romantic trip that fall, a belated honeymoon, he called it. The first night, after our dinner waiter smiled at me and took my order first, my new husband flew into a rage, a furious storm that lasted 7 hours. You knew what you were doing, he accused me again and again. You made him smile at you. I lived under constant accusation that my days were spent seducing every gas station attendant or coffee barista who crossed my path. At the slightest provocation, he would blow, screaming at me in restaurants, at the gym, outside his daughter's school. We'd been married about a year. The first time he came home with a girl's phone number in his pants pocket. A few days later, I found the business card of a woman I'd never heard of lying on the kitchen counter near his phone. 2 ex-girlfriends called the house to speak to him. Don't be ridiculous, he said when I asked him why he was still in contact with these women. Doesn't mean anything, they're just people I know. Everyone goes through this, I said to myself. The first year of marriage is hard. I didn't dare tell my sister or my parents how bad things were. I hinted at times to my best friend Kristen, making jokes about the traditionally rocky first year of marriage. But I was too embarrassed to admit that I still couldn't get a relationship to work. You're lucky I married you, he'd sneer, because no one else would have someone like you for a wife. My mother came to visit when we had been married about a year. After 2 days with us, she took me aside, looked into my eyes, and spoke the truth I'd never dared consider. This is not your fault, she said, and this is not normal. She begged me to leave and reassured me that the things she saw were not the traditional struggles of a newly married couple. She handed me a fistful of cash and told me to run. Finally, one bad morning, not the worst, but certainly one of the more memorable, my husband picked up the giant water bottle where we store loose change. If you ever leave me, he vowed in a matter-of-fact tone that sent chills down my spine, this will be the closest thing to alimony you ever see. He hurled the bottle to the floor, then stormed out the door and went to work. My friend Kristen called. I don't know if I can do this any longer, I gasped, crying so hard I couldn't hold the phone steady. The next day, an envelope arrived from FedEx. Inside, I found the key to Kristen's summer house in Connecticut and a check for $1,000. That was the day I decided to run away.